Krugs, not bad actually. The more I think about it, I think Carson's pretty happy about not having to clear the small Raptors. That camp is a pain for Jarvan. He still hits level 4 on his first clear, which he would have done regardless, and just misses out on the 60 gold from the little Raptors.
And now that we're looking at the bottom lane, I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about these two AD carries matching up against each other, because we already touched on Mystic and his ability to carry games and how he can be this hero for Team WE, but Betty has been doing good work for his team so far as well. You can see the KDA isn't quite as high, but for Betty, it's actually just a DA. It's a death to assist ratio, because he still does not have a kill.
Well, he's looking to try and get that on the Tristana today. You can see that his laning phase is pretty even going up against Mystic, but the damage share is still a big part of where Flash Wolves are doing in these teamfights. The problem is Flash Wolves have often struggled to close out games, and that's not Betty's fault. He's just the facilitator of the damage. It's about the rest of the team coming together to properly set Betty up to be that big hyper carrier. Well, eyes will be on him as he is playing this Tristana as the game progresses.
Everything very even across all the lanes right now. You can see the farm in the top lane there, very slightly favoring 957. Mid lane and AD carries going just blow for blow in terms of their own farm, as teleport used by GA to get back to mid lane after going back, doing a little bit of shopping. Wants to make sure that he does as much as he can to maintain control over this lane early on, while that Vladimir is still building up strength.
And now thinking about how Flash Wolves have played this group stages so far, we've seen relatively slow early games for the most part, apart from when they played up against TSM. What Flash Wolves are doing a good job of was forcing a lot of plays, putting TSM in situations where they didn't really want to fight. Often it resulted in Svenskeren getting caught out and giving a lot of early kills over to Flash Wolves, which is what gave them that early lead, but then they struggled in the later game team fights. The one big thing you have to praise Team WE for is their ability to fight, but then they never really got to show that against Misfits yesterday. So two of the things that we often praise these teams for, which is Flash Wolves' early game aggression with Karsa and WE's team fight, they've kind of been lacking so far in this group stage.
Yeah, and you also have to ask yourself where that first big point of conflict is going to be. In a Galio Shen game, you're expecting it to probably be around the bottom side, unless Team WE do decide to target the Shen, which is a very real possibility. It's something MMU's going to have to watch out for.
WE really does not want to allow Karsa to get this chicken camp this game. They'll steal that one away. This time, big one included. Karsa's only taking a couple of babies with him.
This is good jungle control. You know, it's basically saying, you know what, we already want to have a little bit more pressure on the top side of the map, especially with Rumble perma pushing up there, and it gives them a bit of deep vision as well. So Team WWE, they're going to feel pretty confident and just give that extra bit of safety to 957.
Karsa throwing down some vision in the enemy jungle, realizing that they're invading him, so it's a good idea to keep tabs on exactly what's going on that other end of the map as well. We often see junglers do this. They get invaded, they just clear their opponent's side as well to not fall behind. A little bit of a scuffle down here at bottom. Mystic having that charge explode on him. GA mid lane with that level 6. Now might find himself in a 1 versus 2. Maple taken down below half. Karsa backs off. GA just fine here.
Yeah, two mid laners are going to have a hard time killing each other. I'm expecting a very early Abyssal Mask from the Galio, as it's such a good item on him, and that's just going to stop them from killing each other. And that's good. That's fine for Vladimir. Maple wants to wait until he's at 2 or 3 items to really turn on, and then the question will be, is Mystic at the point there where he can tread through the Vladimir, or can the Taric ultimate Vladimir run through the team? And if a jungler is going to go to make that gank, you have to maybe even send a third person.
I'm also curious as to how Flash Wolves will utilize this Vladimir later on into the game. See a bit of trading.
Oh, Benny going in very deep onto Mystic. Look for that last auto attack to find the explosive charge. Mystic going to be, honestly, not that bad off.
Yeah, Flash Wolves win that, though, because they only used one defensive summoner, whereas Team W used both. Ben has gone with the exhaust instead of the classic heal barrier we're seeing so far. But the sustain war will be a question of how much Betty can heal up here. He's gone Fervor, not Warlord, so that's less sustain in lane. He may have to recall fairly soon.
Meanwhile, Condi, level 6 on the Gragas. Karsa still without his own ultimate. We know both these junglers kind of flip a switch when they hit level 6. It's such powerful ganking tools for both. Hey, that feels so bad. Mid laner, the Gragas just scoots in there, but Condi does a good job delaying that back, make things a little bit less efficient for Maple in terms of his timings.
I'm curious what Flash Wolves will do later on into the game as well, because just looking at some of the summer spells that we've also got on either side, you already mentioned the exhaust from Ben. I think that makes sense when going up against someone like a Vladimir, who's going to be looking to dive onto the back line, and you just want to mitigate that threat onto your primary carry of Mystic. But also, there's no TP on top of Maple compared to the TP of GA. So WE, they have a few more options to play along these side lanes, but when you actually look at the comp of Flash Rolls, they have a pretty strong 1-3-1. Will they try and utilize the Vladimir off on the sideline? Will they try and group him up? They actually have a few options, but it's that extra TP that their Flash Rolls are going to have to respect.
Yeah, it is interesting for Team WE to go with the double teleport summoner choice without actually having the stronger 1-3-1, because oftentimes double teleport and 1-3-1 are synonymous, but you need the dude who could win the 1v1 late game for that to work. And I don't think that's true for the Rumble or the Galio. So it's almost like they're just laning phase summoner spells to keep map pressure up and allow Condi to try and get some evades going on, which we haven't necessarily seen yet, but we have seen them get deep wards, take the Raptors multiple times, so the map pressure is where they're trying to get their edge.
Yep, the early game going pretty slowly so far, but now Carson's going to find Ben as he walks down into the bottom lane. Finds a nice little chunk of burst, but Ben's shield is fast enough to block a bit of it.
Is this where they use the proactive Shen ultimate? They definitely had a little bit of a tell, and they're giving time for them to respond. The teleports aren't up on Team WE. Galio is moving into range to ult in.
And remember, there is no way for the Rumble to interrupt the Shen ulti. Here we go. Mystic going to be jumped on. Has the explosive charge strapped onto his head, and he is done. First blood over the way of Karsa. Now seeing if they can get anything else. They're only going to find a death onto Sword Art. The winds of war blow for Team WE, and they make it even.
The level 6 power spikes for both teams, but it's Flash Rolls that are faster on the trigger. They're the ones to set up the dive, but WE respond in kind. GA is able to position in a way to stop Flash Rolls from getting anything extra, and it ends up in a 1-for-1 trade.
And listen, we often criticize Flash Rolls for not making the play. You have to question whether the play was worth it. Sometimes that's why a team doesn't go for it, is because they can't do it perfectly. Yeah, they got first blood, they used every ultimate, they sent all 5 people, and they didn't get a lick of turret damage. Meanwhile, 957 has a larger CS lead in the top lane and got 80% of that turret down, which could probably end up being first turret. Not to mention a kill fell down on the backside. That was absolutely a one trade for Team WE, in my opinion.
You don't always make a play just because you can. It's pretty much the summary of what happened there for Flash Wolves. Yeah, you got the kill, you got first blood, congratulations. Let's take another look at how it all played out, though.
And you can see here, the Shen is being forced under his tower already. He comes into the fight right from the get-go, but Betty initially takes tower aggro. He's forced out of the fight, and then GA's already there to respond, forcing Sword Art to lose his life. And then WE, they force Flash Wolves back. They're the ones that have to retreat, and it gives Team WE all this pressure in the enemy jungle and all across the map.
And Team WE, remember, Jack just said they got 80% of that first turret. They didn't even kill the thing, but they're up over 1,000 gold just because the team has those farm advantages like you're now seeing in the solo lanes, and because they've just done a better job passively building that economy.
Yeah, exactly. Ben's 600 gold up on Sword Art because the Relic Shield helps, and also the gold runes that he's going to be running. So he's done that every single game they play. Jonnet keeps pace. And also, I think is one of the reasons Team WE's early game bot, they've been like, man, Mystic and Ben, they're supposed to smash everyone. Why aren't they? Well, because they're playing these passive lanes that are waiting on power spikes. And currently, even with that death, they're still leaving in CS.
Here we go, back to the chicken camp yet again, and they get everything. Karsa tries to walk in and throw the lance out to steal one, but it does not work. These two, again, staying on top of that spawn, denying that EXP, denying that gold from the Flash Wolf jungler.
Team WE also still have both their teleports up, ready for use. It will be a Clown Drake that's going to be the first one on the board, which means that neither team likely going to make that a high priority. But if it's a free objective, there's no reason why they can't try and look to make a play, especially when they want to continue the pressure down the bot side and get Mystic into that carry position.
Betty, 94 CS to the 90 of Mystic. We were keeping track of these guys' farm when we talked about them earlier. Both of them normally farm very well compared to their opponents. They're both doing well enough right now. Initiation coming out from the Flash Wolves, but Condi is here. Ben looking to make the play, shoving Betty back. Betty still managing to get himself away as Condi now finds his own ultimate down onto Sword Art, who has the Cosmic Radiance, but isn't going to use it this time. Mystic grabs the kill.
Yeah, Sword Art was flashless, so he knew he would dead regardless of whether or not he used Cosmic Radiance trying to save it. They might just round this up for another game. They could still teleport 957 if they really wanted to. That's why that worked there. And a great sweeper by Karsa to block it.
Karsa not allowing that TP to go in. Very well done by these guys, preventing further damage coming through. But now the damage onto the turret is
Rumble,
the
look at
concern.
Rumble.
TP going to be used. Rumble coming down. They've got GA here as well. WE wants to make this push onto this turret. 5 men strong, but now
Maple
it's going
goes
to be
for it. He's coming in.
The flash wolves. They want to make this one happen. MMD able to find the taunt onto GA underneath the turret. Almost able to grab the kill, but instead it's not going to work out today. Galio into the back line using the hero's escape. And Flash Wolves will hold the line.
Flash was doing a good job of defending this early tower, but I don't know if it's enough.
MMD now forced to flash back. That plays assault will find success. Condi forces them back as GA goes in, tries to fire off yet another win, but will now be forced back without grabbing a kill. They'll take the turret though, and they'll do so happily.
So many intricacies in that fight that ultimately don't turn bloody, but they still get the first turret, which gives them a large edge. And Flash Wolves committed the resources to trying to stop it without being able to. So that's still a big win for Team WE in that sense. They did move everyone bottom lane, but they're the ones that got something out of it. Flash Wolves did not.
And this is just a staple WE move, utilizing the levels and the comp that they have to apply pressure around the map. They had the double teleport, they have the Galio, they have the Rumble ultimate, they have a team composition that is great at just forcing enemies away from towers and just sieging them down. They knew they had the early advantage, they found that early kill onto Sword Art, and they were not afraid to try and force that play.
And one thing the bottom lane skirmishes have told us, both from the dive that Flash was executed and the attempted dive that Team WE attempted, was a preview of what we're going to see later. It's going to be really hard for Mystics to stay alive, because we know that the Vladimir can come in with a Shen and a Taric and be nearly unstoppable. And we also know it's going to be pretty hard for Team WE to actually execute kills onto the Flash Wolves. They don't have that much engage, and these guys can run away with a lot of different tools. So that just makes it all the more important that Team WE is getting pressure on these turrets and objectives, because they need to make their gold lead overwhelmingly strong to push this game to victory.
We are starting to see item power spikes coming across from multiple people. WE trying to push further onto yet another tier 1 turret. Good denial there from Ben. Going to be stopping the Flash Wolves' attempted move on them. Now bringing Condi up here to continue this push.
Yeah, and they won the sensor race. They have a Hurricane and an Ardent sensor, so they're power spiking right now. The Flash Wolves want to fight them.
Flash Wolves going to be using that TP to come in, start this one off. Ben in some danger. Condi looking to body blocks, trying to get him out of there if he can, but the taunt comes in and Carson's grabbing the kill. Now seeing if they're maybe able to find some damage onto Mystic, but he's the one feeling all the pain today. Couple more auto attacks might be able to do it, but now Mystic going to be jumped on by the Shen. Condi grabbing the kill onto Karsa. Galio comes in for the cavalry charge as Maple goes into the backline, going after Condi now as well. Evo Plague down, one more transfusion to grab the kill. What a bloodbath.
And how long is the fight going to happen? 957 started the bot lane. He's walked up this far.
Maple still defending this. 957 knows there's low health bars that he can mop up. GA and 957 want to take down this turret, potentially grab the kill onto Maple as well. Lots of damage coming out from these two AP solo laners. The winds come through. They don't find the mark. GA's going to be taken out. He's got to be careful. He's got the kill. 957 trying to get something here. He will find Betty. He may find MMD. But the Spirit's Refuge protects.
What a great fight from the Flash Wolves. They finally have the game going their way. You were just talking about this earlier, chat, how it's so difficult for WE to find those kills on the Flash Wolves, but it's just because Flash Wolves, all of them were there on the play beforehand. They were already ready to react to the play from Team WE. They find the successful fight, but they're still in the goal deficit.
Yeah, and I also feel like Team W was a little greedy there, knowing they didn't have their teleports up, and Mystic just thought he could take him on because he had his Hurricane. And he nearly did, but not quite enough thanks to all the defensive tools that Flash Wolves had. Watching this one more time, remember, the Monsoon from Jonna is down. That's why Flash Wolves go for it.
And you can see Shen has already positioned because he's ready for the TP flank. You have the Taric ultimate to just buy time, preventing Mystic from doing damage, but then he does a great job of just unloading onto the Flash Wolves. You think at this point, maybe Team WE can turn it around, but he gets too low. He ends up dropping off the back of the fight, and that's only the first half of the fight, chat.
Yeah, Galio, oh so close to taking Sword Art down, and that costs them later on in the fight because they still want to 2v4 this with a full health Vladimir in the game. Yes, the turns they've heard, and they get that, but then they think, yeah, we can kill him, and Flash Wolves think they can defend him. Sword Art, critical here, getting the heals and shields in on multiple people. Betty has his ultimate back up, just keeping his distance from 957 for most of it, and the timing of the Spirit's Refuge right at the end. Keep himself alive from that overheat auto attack.
Well done from the Flash Wolves. Team fighting property. They're still down 2,500 gold compared to Team WE, though 17.5 minutes into this game. And I think it is interesting to note that neither team has taken the first Drake. It is a Cloud Drake. It is of lesser value than normal. But you can see right there, Team WE gold differences group stage versus Misfits and versus TSM. They're 2 matches so far.
And this is the make or break moment in their game so far. And that's what we're seeing a lot of in this tournament. When both guys get their ardent sensors, when both tank lines start to come online, whoever gets that one little bit of a lead cuts through the enemy front line so much faster. Team WE have to play clean here. So much is yet to be decided for both teams.
WE daring Flash Wolves to come stop them from taking this Rift Herald. Flash Wolves wants to see if they can. Maple moving up forward, gonna have that large transfusion here. Barca actually stealing it away, well done. MMD steps up to secure the Rift Herald drop itself, taunts over the wall and gets himself to safety. Maple now trying to get away further. Emo plate thrown down on multiple people, throws out the Tides of Blood as well. Stun comes out from Tarek. The Flash Wolves disengage.
And we talked about the lack of engage from Team WE. That was 5v5 grouped up from Team WE. They were in a prime position to try and force the fight, but they don't go for it. They just wait for Flash Wolves to walk in, take the Rift Herald, walk out, and not lose any men.
Yeah, MMD just walked up to 5 people after all they get is be like, well, I guess the team doesn't want to fight. I will turn around now, and I will be absolutely fine, because WE has such lackluster engagement. I think they understand that, which is why they are so heavily forcing around turrets, Rift Herald, Drakes, daring Flash Wolves to fight them. That's the only way WE's going to get a fight, but they still haven't been converting those in a big way.
But they still have double TP available, like the flanking options are there for Team WE, yet they get to try and take advantage of them. Typically what you'd expect is Connie goes in, Shea follows up, and then you have the ulti from 957 to round things out. But so far, Condi's yet to truly pull the trigger, unless they're in a 3 versus 5, and it's Flash Wolves the ones that are trying to force the fights.
Flash Wolves now, they got the Rift Herald. We'll have to see how they want to actually use that. Team WE currently holding the turret control in this game, 2-0. That's pretty much where their gold lead is coming from at this point. That and the Janna gold that you were talking about earlier, Jack, with just how much more money they're putting into their support, so you can get those supportive items coming out for his team. 1,600 gold of that lead is on the Janna compared to the Tarek, just because of that investment towards him.
Yeah.
Ardent Sensor up and running, very, very useful for that Twitch, but Mystic's going to need to be positioned very well.
And the remainder of the gold lead is just the fact that Team WE have 2 turrets over Flash Wolves, so I feel like this game is still very close. Both these teams really consistently butting heads, and I do feel like Flash Wolves are the ones that are, more often than not, the ones coming out ahead in the fight.
But remember, if you're a fan of Flash Wolves, their 2016 Worlds run, and a bit of what we saw from them here in 2017 against TSM, they could do well enough early. They could even take it a bit into the mid-game, but it was closing those games which was problematic for the Flash Wolves. So you've always got to be concerned for this team as time goes on. Do they have that coherent element finally there that they can work together as 5 and make these plays happen? Right now, they're looking to pull that off mid lane, pushing up 4 strong, leaving Maple in the side lane to split push. We're in there, nearly takes the turret down, but nearly's not enough. WE to hold. Then he tries to put that last little bit of damage on it. Condi now the one who may be in some danger. Galio ulti comes in. MMD gonna be knocked back into the team, but that is a Shin. Pretty tanky, not really the one you want to be focusing on. Maple makes his way into the fray here. Nice equalizer choke point as the Tarek ultimate is forced out. And Flash Wolves have to retreat now. Can WE find anything else? Maple going into the back line instead. Mystic maybe in danger here. Ben gonna be taken low. 957 grab the kill onto Karsa as Condi falls to Betty. Now gonna be fighting himself in the middle of 4, but jumps over the wall with the flash. Whiskey.
Such a clutch fight between both these teams. Team WE trying so desperately to force a fight, but they take too long. The Flash Wolves sort out ultimate, just mitigating all of the damage from the Rumble ulti, and that's when Maple goes in. He tries to start something for the Flash Wolves, but it actually ends only in a 1-for-1 and a trade for Jungle.
Yeah, both summoner spells used by Maple to get in onto Team WE, but when Mystic is just standing there with the Monsoon on him from the Janna and ripping off on the spray and pray, he's healing a lot, and they're not reducing it. So we're going to watch this fight one more time. You can see how difficult it is for Team WE to start a fight, because they want to. They see Vlad top lane, they think they can force a 5v4, but all right, we smack the Shen into the team, don't really want to engage. And they're almost intentionally walking into dangerous places so that Flash Wolves will engage on them, is what it feels like. Karsa's over the wall, thinking about it. The Terror Call is down, but Maple finds it. And now W right back on the turret game.
Now WE is saying, you took down our first turret, we're going to take down your first turret mid lane at least, seeing if they can push this one up. About 20% HP left on that. Team WE trying to build back up some of that objective lead. They will do so successfully. About 3,000 gold in their pockets ahead of Flash Wolves.
And my eyes just keep darting towards Betty. So one of the unsung heroes for Flash Wolves, Captain Flowers. We were talking a little bit about him earlier on, how this game was going to be very much about the 280 carries and also how well Maple would have an impact on these fights. But when you look across the scoreline, 3-1-3 for Betty, he's just slowly been stacking up kills. He's working towards his third item. And as this game progresses, I feel like that Tristana is going to be a huge factor in allowing Flash Wolves to win these fights.
I think it needs to be one of the main factors for him to win the game. But even with his damage percentage or his CS, they are sitting at 0-2 in this group, and it's because Betty hasn't been able to make those plays at the ends of the game. In the TSM matchup, it was Betty who got rocket jumped on while out of position, died, and lost the game. In the other game, it was the Jinx game where you just have to get that first kill to get the reset. The reset never came, and they got run over at the end of the game. So it's been a tough road for Betty. He's done a lot of good things, but in order to be the hero, you have to win.
The bright side for Betty, he finally gets his first kill, though. We didn't mention that at the start of the day.
It's a KDA now, boys.
It is now, in fact, a KDA. So good job for Betty. But let's see as we track through this game, because Maple is the other big star that you do have to keep your eyes on. Note, they are moving him off into a side lane much more regularly now, and he doesn't seem to find any trouble getting involved in these fights.
And Jad, you mentioned a little bit earlier about how now that the Ardent sensors are coming online and everything's sort of falling into place, these pieces are landing where they should. One big fight, one big momentum swing can determine the tempo for the rest of the game. And now that you're seeing those second items come online, you've got a Righteous Glory in your Galio, you've got a Zhonya's Hourglass on your Rumble. On the other side, Randu and Zoman completed on the Jarvan, while the Leandry's Torment for the Vlad. These are big purchases, big pickups that could really determine who wins these fights.
Exactly, and so much of it comes down to how safe Mystic can be. He's got these insane damage percentages as far as the tournament is concerned. And he's the one roaming around, actually going for MMD.
MMD already had to use his flash here. Mystic looking to further chase this one down. Equalizer is enough, and Mystic grabs the kill for himself.
MMD, he overextends a little bit in the bottom lane. He's not expecting the Mystic roam, and this is the thing you've always got to be careful of when it comes to Twitch. We saw a great example of it from Reckless in their series versus Immortals, and we're seeing it once more. WWE now moving Mystic around the map and trying to find these picks.
Now comes another one.
Now that they found the pick, though, what can they do with it? What can they get from it? It's one thing to pick off the enemy side laner, have that extra gold in your pocket, but what do you get afterwards? And for WE, it looks like they're going to be trying to get some vision control around this top side, maybe make a play on a Maple.
Continue to get vision around the objectives with which will be used to force fights in the mid and late game. They have so much anti-engage on this team with the Galio and the Janna. They also just want Flash Wolves to try and dive in on them, and they need to be able to stuff it to keep Mystic alive and win the fights, because the best way to get people in range for spray and pray is to have them come to you, but that's also the fastest way to a loss. So it's going to be these really razor's edge fights on whether or not Mystic stays alive.
And Sword Art's going to be pivotal as well, because his ultimate mitigates so much damage. If you use that spray and pray at the wrong time, a little too early, maybe a little too late, then that Cosmic Radiance is just going to deny all that 80 carry damage. And then that long-range hyper carry turns into a slow-range little rat that has to get past the front line in order to threaten those carries. So a lot of intricate things are going to come out as we progress into these fights later on into the game.
You can see on your screen right now kind of who are those big power players in the game so far, who's making those big impacts in the team fights. It's Maple on the side of Flash Wolves. Nobody's really surprised about that one. And in similar non-surprising fashion, Mystic's Twitch, like you guys are talking about, if you can find those spray and prays, get those guys in range, that's where the damage is going to be coming from. Expected stars doing what we expected them to do, but so far we've got quite a close contest between these two teams. Still 3,500 gold apart. I've kind of been checking up on this gold lead as we've gone, and it's not shifted that much. It's been a slightly WE favored game this entire time around, and it's stagnated there.
And the 80 carries are pretty close in gold as well. Nearly 11,000 on Mystic and 10,500 on Betty. So those are the guys that this game is heavily about.
All right, as we go further and further too, more and more of the game will be about Baron. It's about who can control it, who can maybe sneak it away. We don't know for sure. Flash Wolves, we saw them get a cheeky Rift Herald steal earlier. as Mystic goes stealthy, finds a really nice hit on the sword art, but won't look for any more.
Just looking across some of the itemization as well. Adaptive Helm, big picket for MMD, and that 1v1 against 957, and there is a lot of magic damage coming out from Team WWE as well. Also notice the Righteous Glory on top of GA. We talked about lack of engage. Well, having that extra bit of movement speed is definitely going to assist them, but if GA is off on a side lane, always trying to deal with Maple, how reliable is that Righteous Glory going to be in being able to start those fights?
You also got to look at the team fight effectiveness of this Shen. He stacked Adaptive Helm with Mercury Treads to deal with the Rumble, but if he tries to go into a team fight and isn't sitting in his Spirit's Refuge to block the auto attacks, Twitch is going to kill him with 4 shots.
For sure.
0 armor whatsoever on this guy. Closest thing he's got to armor is a Dorian's shield that'll knock 5 AD off every Twitch auto attack. Not the most, but now WE get ambitious into a scrap. Cask not on the mark. Bet he would stand united. Looking to put some autos into GA. Can't quite find it. Now WE looking about the counterattack. Equalizer comes down in the choke point. MMD in some trouble here. Cosmic Radiance has to save him.
I feel like
both walk away.
That Cosmic Radiance was far too early from Sword Art. The Equalizer had no threat to be followed up on. Condi had already expended Body Slam. And if Flash Wolves wants to win this, they need to coordinate Cosmic Radiance with Vladimir's initiation. They don't have Cosmic Radiance anymore.
Here we go. Taunt down onto the Shen. Mystic still has spray and pray, and now it's time to open up. Rat-a-tat-tat! Watch them all go down. Mystic now going to be jumped on by MMD. They both fall, but it's a 3-for-1.
Massive team fight for Team WE. I was concerned because their main engaging Condi had fell apart, but they used the Fog of War to take advantage of Flash Wolves, who got a little bit too close. They took the bait, and WE, they immediately go for the punish.
Yeah, going to be a little bit of a slow burn, but they got enough with Rumble, Galio, and the Gragas getting some percent health damage into that. This could be the fight that breaks the game open.
WE now getting the Baron. This is going to feel great for these guys. It's going to give them so much ability to push and control the map and further build this lead. You can see just by the current state of the turrets, they were able to break the outer ring, but they couldn't find anything else beyond that. Baron is the perfect way to fix that.
And this is the Fog of War we were talking about. Carson, he just wants to check it with his with his E, but he ends up getting caught out of position. GA with the flash taunt. Now one of the frontliners is down, and that allows Mystic to open up. He gets knocked back by Betty, making it even harder for Maple to dive onto the backline. And even though Mystic still loses his life, the damage was already done. Flash Wolves had fallen apart, and it ended in a 4-for-1 going in the favor of WWE.
And we also have to remember that the Cosmic Radiance was burned by the Equalizer. Imagine that fight if Maple and Betty can dive in and have 2.5 seconds of invulnerability to kill Mystic, and then all they got to deal with is a Rumble and a bunch of tanks. So could still be different. This goal lead puts WE in a good position. Still just want to see better usage out of Sword Art's ultimate.
Forcing Maple back like that is a good sign for these guys. Going to give them the opportunity to continue pushing up, moving through the jungle. Notice how they're laying down the vision as they go as well. Damage dealt to champions in the last team fight, nearly 5,400 from Mystic's Twitch. Any two people you put together on Flash Wolves don't even equal that. GA dashing himself forward with the Justice Punch to zone away into defenders as WE breaks down the mid lane tier 2, continues to push 4 men strong up into the base of the Flash Wolves.
And they should continue to force this. They are stronger in the 5v5. The Ghost is down on Maple as well, so just keep walking up to turrets, push Galio forward, and dare Flash Wolves to fight you.
That was your tank, by the way, if you're Flash Wolves and walk up to that wall and he gets auto-attacked for 2 seconds.
He's got a Warden's Mail now, though, Flowers. He should be able to mitigate a little bit of the 4-item twist down on the
Warden's Mail up against Infinity Edge, Runeance Hurricane, Static Shiv, and some other bits and pieces. Now, can WE actually break this base open? Time will tell, and it's going to tell right now. Cosmic Radiance comes down, but it's not doing a lot. They're not taking any damage, but the Cast finds Karsa. The Equalizer brought down into the back line, zoning Betty away. Maple still looking, but not finding, as WE will force their way into the base, seeing if they can find any more Flash Wolf lives. The answer is yes. 3 are down, and it's a double kill for the top laner.
That's going to do it, Flowers. Mystic would not die as Flash Wolves tried to dive, and not a coordinated play by Flash Wolves in that dive, but WE in full control, go for the Nexus.
MMD's gone, Betty's gone. Flash Wolves' chances of a win in week number 1 are gone, and WE will find their victory.
The crowd is in elation. as the LPL representatives, WE, get themselves such a solid win against the Flash Wolves. Such fantastic team fighting towards the later game. Good early objective control. We talked about how around the 18 minutes is where this team really kind of swings or swims. They find that great play. They found it. Initially, it kind of looked like disaster up in the top lane.
Else feels the same way. They all feel that they can beat each other. And so far, TSM has stepped up. They're the only 2-0 team. If they can beat the Misfits, that means they'll go up to 3-0, start week 1 with a hell of a statement in this group and among these teams.
But they've got to get through Misfits, who looked pretty good, a little bit slow against Team WE yesterday. So let's see how well they can do going up against TSM. Flash Wolves yesterday.
Yeah, and Misfits had a deathless game against that team. Those are incredibly rare at the World Championship. Before this World, the last time a team had a deathless game was back when Alliance perfect game Najin in Worlds 2014. Somehow we had 3 in a row yesterday. It's just an absolute blip of statistics, but